evening, and welcome once again. Welcome to KaisoTalk. Yes, indeed. We started last week, and we're moving full speed ahead. All right, now, you know the old saying that I've been fighting against. As a matter of fact, you all hear people talking about Kaiso this and Kaiso and Kaiso that and Kaiso that. Well, let me tell you something. If I alone had to stand up and fight for Kaiso ain't go dead. And I can guarantee you, I have soldiers with me. I have soldiers with me, and I have two with me tonight, and I expect a couple more to join me. And tonight we talking Kaiso. So every Wednesday evening at 8:30, Kaiso Talk. So anything you know about Kaiso, anything you want to say about Kaiso, anything you want to learn about Kaiso, you have to join us, K105 FM and also GBN Television. We also live on our Facebook page and YouTube channel. So those of you in the diaspora and wherever you are, if you not home in front of your television, you out and you want to log in, you can do that. And of course, you can be part of the conversation and you can hear everything you want to know about Kaiso. So I tell you what, this evening we have two very special people with us. All right, a lady and a gentleman. All right, a king and a queen, definitely. So we're talking about the man Luther and of course Messenger. Definitely no strangers to Grenada. These are people who you're familiar with. You're familiar with their work. In fact, everybody knows Messenger. Messenger is part of our carnival every year. Giving us good Kaisos. She's in Trinidad. She's doing her stuff. And of course Luther, always around. Yes, indeed. Let me tell you a little story about Luther and how I got to know Luther as a young fella. I think it was, what year it was? Was it 19? Anyway, the first time Luther won the crown, when he sang, was it Driver Driving Good? I think so. Yeah. And Luther had this special dance he was given, and my mother tell me, she said, listen, I like this fella, watch the dance. And that dance with Luther on stage, going left and right with his steering wheel in his hand, that stuck with me. And I always remember this fella they call Luther. All right. We actually met not very long ago, but I knew him and I followed his work over the years. And I'm telling you, he's no ordinary Kaisonian. All right, so tonight we're chatting with Luther. He was here late last year. He performed at Legends in concert. The man was great. He had the people eating from his hand. You understand? No, Georgia, you're coming. What happened to you? Everybody gonna come. Everybody can't come one time. Don't dig nothing. Don't dig nothing. So I tell you what, folks, I'm talking of, it's a good time to welcome our guest. Val has just joined us. So let's say welcome. We're going to start with the Queen. Messenger, good evening. Welcome to Kaiso Talk. How are you doing, my dear?
Good evening. Thank you very much. I am great. I am feeling great. I mean, it's carnival time. I am a carnivalist. So, this is my time of the year.
Right.
This is my time of the year.
So hold on. What you're filling a gap now?
If I'm filling a gap, right? I'm standing in the gap.
Oh, you're standing in the gap? All right.
Standing in the gap. Yes, I'm standing in the gap. And I'm standing in the gap for our men folk.
Well, I'm happy. I'm really, really happy to hear that. Luther, how are you doing, man? It's been a couple months. How are things?
Really good, It's looking good so far.
All right.
25. Some nice calypsos this year, yeah.
Indeed, I've been listening.
Calypso seems to be doing well this year.
Well, Calypso always doing well, It's just that, sometimes you have, different slants with the thing, and of course, interests vary. But Kaiso is always doing well. And I've been following some of the Calypsos. In fact, let me give you a joke. I called Georgia earlier this week, and I asked her, I said, well, wait a minute. That song, Standing in the Gap, you just do that Kaiso for Trinidad Carnival, and she's telling me no, she did that song in Grenada, and I will shame, because I well shame because
The song was done in Grenada.
I am supposed to be somebody who in touch with all the Kaisos.
I guess you weren't paying attention.
No, the thing is, and Luther, hear what? I have the Kaiso, she sent the Kaiso for me, and I have the Kaiso in the archives, But the thing is, sometimes you have so much music, you know, when the season finish, you miss some of them. But some of the Kaisos are really, really great. I've been listening, and
we have to get out of sleep.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Sleeping thing I working through.
Val is here with us. Val, how things, man? How you going?
I'm good, and good evening. Good evening to everyone on the platform. Good evening to Luther. Good evening to the messenger. Good evening to Grenada. And good evening to all of the Windwards who are hearing, seeing this program.
Yes, indeed. It is such a pleasure, Actually, it's been a while since I did a program that was just Kaiso. I mean, you do the things, you play the music, but I decided, you know what, it's time to get back and keep that Kaiso thing in people's ear, keep it there, so that the interest can continue to grow and keep Kaiso where it belongs, at the top. So we're going to start the conversation. We're starting with the Queen this evening. Messenger, well, no stranger, but just for formality, for people who probably seeing and hearing you for the first time. Tell us a little bit about Messenger. Who is Messenger?
Messenger, my whole government name is Georgia Charles McIntyre. I was christened Georgia Jackson from Bel Air in Carriacou. My mother took me to Trinidad when I was a baby, so I spent my entire life, you could say, in Trinidad. So I grew up in Trinidad, went to school in Trinidad. I got nurtured and nature. Nature here, nurtured. I have been, I'm a secondary school teacher. I have been singing Calypso for 14 years now. Before that, I've been in Calypso for so long. My husband used to be a Calypso judge, so Calypso was always in the house, And I trained children for a number of years, and then in 2010 I said, look, let me see how this Calypso stage thing does feel, And I did a song. I did well with it, and from then I just kept going on. So I write some of my music. Other people have written for me, but I have always brought lyrics to sit down, to make you sit down and think. As the name says, the messenger, it is to change attitudes, to change mindsets, to educate, to entertain as well. So that is me. I am many people don't know that outside of Calypso, I am a certified dance coach, so I teach ballroom and Latin dance. I prepare people for examinations and competition and stuff, I am a grandmother, I am a mother. Yeah, and as a woman, this year, 2025, I looked at the issue of violence, domestic abuse against men. Now, I have sung out about domestic violence against women, and I lost my mother to domestic violence when I was age 8. So I know the other side of the thing, But when I look at what is happening with too many men, far too many men, Godfrey, experience incidences of domestic violence in all forms, emotionally, psychologically, financially. Some of my sisters are really wicked, and I want to touch on that social history. Something we don't think about, we don't talk about, because we socialize our men folk not to cry, not to show emotion, but we need to reach out. Too many men are suffering silently. And it's a song I feel very deeply about, and I hope that people get the message.
Right, wonderful. Georgia, while you're talking, I was looking at Luther, and for a moment I thought Luther was crying, Luther. Luther, what happened? No, of course.
Recent yesterday, a male relative of mine, been having discussion with me for about a few days. Yesterday we spoke. This domestic violence against men is real.
It is.
Real. And it's difficult for men because when you complain, you face another kind of violence because that big man boy.
That's right.
You're being ridiculed.
Yeah,
you're being ridiculed.
You're not supposed to feel. You're not supposed to, you're just supposed to shake your shoulder and move on. And that in itself doesn't help because the next move is men start to get
you lash out. You lash out.
And decide, look, you tell nobody nothing, I just grinding it out. And you may reach a point where you just can't take it anymore and have a big outburst. So I believe it's good to address these type of issues, and coming from a female, I think it's going to have a different kind of effect, that it's coming from the male. So I think it's very, very good to do that kind of song, coming from a woman. I appreciate that very much. I've not heard this song.
Thank you.
But just
Thank you very much.
A woman treating with that issue, I think it's fantastic.
No, this is excellent. I told you this song. When I got to actually, sit and listen and digest the song, I called her to ask her if this is a song from, and that's the point. The song, it was so deep, it clicked, it clicked. So very, very, very important issue. And you're right. We hear a lot about the violence against women.
I want to get a copy of this song. What's the name of the song?
Luther, I will send it to you. I can send it to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. Val,
it's called Stand in the Gap.
Yeah, Val, jump in here. I don't know if you've heard it, if you've heard that the Kaiso, but coming here, I would like to get your thoughts on it, of course.
Yeah, of course I've heard it. A number of times already for the season. I've met Georgia, making the rounds as Calypsonians want to do in this season. So I've heard this song. I know it of its content, and it is an issue. I don't know whether or not it is a popular issue, and I would like to hear Georgia's take in terms of how not only men but other women in the fraternity are probably either warming to the song or resisting that kind of discussion. But it is a discussion. Our Caribbean society is not one that push men in a particular way to articulate problems, so that and I guess from her own background as teacher, dealing with both young men and women in that kind of turbulent teen period would impact in terms of how she sees this issue in terms of violence against men. So I've heard it, but I know that our society does not necessarily open up to such topics, so that I don't know, Georgia, how both the male and female have responded to singing such
Val, I saw you listening intently when I did the song at work on the 1st of January.
Yeah.
I noted that you were listening intently. I have had no negative comments from anybody thus far. Women are telling me they love the song and it's time somebody speaks about the issue. Men are actually coming to me and telling me that they have been in situations where they had to run. They had to leave and go. They verbalize the pain that they have been going through. But I, of myself, know many men who are at the moment going through all kinds of abusive situations. It might be nice to do a survey and see to what extent the phenomenon exists, but it is a serious issue. And like I say, we do not socialize our men folk into expressing hurt. So you must not show any emotion. We train them not to show emotion. Don't cry, don't think. You're feeling hurt about something, don't say anything. So you stay and you grind it and you grind it. And at the point when it is bottled up and it explodes, it might mean somebody's death. You understand?
With Georgia, is it an issue that has arisen, let's say, in the last 2 decades simply because women have made greater strides economically and professionally, or is it an issue that has always been there?
To a certain extent, I would say over the last 2 decades, over the last 3 decades, because we came out of a system where there was a time when education wasn't so important for females. Yeah, so we educated our male because a female would get married and have children and stay at home. And then there was this push where we started as parents telling our young ladies that you can be anything you want to. So education opened up for women. So we have women getting into to areas previously dominated by men. Okay, if you look at the reports, the results from UE examination, from even CSEC, look at who are excelling. We have boys in our school, and I have noted this. We have boys in secondary school who refuse to do well because they would be considered as nerds and sissies. So a boy is not supposed to stand out there and be a man and do. So the women have jumped ahead. In employment, in sports, in other areas, women have jumped ahead. And to a certain extent, we have emasculated our men and our boys. We have done that. So now the question is, how do we get them back? How do we pull them back? You understand? How do we rebuild that or build that self-esteem that they're supposed to have? It's a serious situation.
It is.
Our young boys and older men as well.
Right. I'm listening to this conversation here, and what is going through my mind is how important the Calypsonian is to our society, and how important the calypso is. Because here we are, KaisoTalk, and here is a very serious social issue that has dominated the opening of the conversation, an issue that affects or goes deep to people, to the life of individuals.
Yeah.
And this is
back to the family and education and socialization. Right back there.
And Luther, I want to bring you in here because I mean you've been doing Kaiso for probably, I think, maybe longer than Georgia, many years.
Much longer than I have.
You've come through this thing, and I'm sure you've sung on numerous topics. Let's talk a little bit about the art form and how some of these topics, and we're talking here social issue, political, whatever topic. How is it that the Calypsonian can use these topics to send a message that can influence the life of our society? Let's talk a little bit about Luther.
But Calypso has always been doing that, If you go way back, you'll find Calypsos of all types. Domestic issues, political issues, social issues. We have Calypsos dealing with life. And according to Mighty Duke, this is what it's all about. Mm-hmm. It's about our life. It's about what's going on around you. So, and one of the things I always refer to, that when they say Calypso is dying, I say Calypso would die when everything else dies. But as long as there is life, as long as life continues, Calypso would be there. There will always be Calypso. Mm-hmm. There might not be a Calypso competition, but there will always be Calypso. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Because commentary, things will always happen, and people will always have things to say. And Calypso will always be there to say what the Calypsonian would say. Because he doesn't say the same, he probably has the same message as a writer in the newspaper or a talk show host on television or radio. But the Calypso is going to have a different spin. You have a different way of telling the story. Mm-hmm. And this is what makes the Calypso unique and different and special. Puts music to it, puts a little humor in it here and there. Mm-hmm. You have references, and Calypso is alive. Yeah. It's alive, it's alive. Mm-hmm. All the time.
Georgia, here.
Godfrey, if I may interject, if you want to understand the history of a country, take the calypsos in any particular decade and listen to them. Listen to them, the social commentary, political country, etc. You will see what was happening in that is like a times, like a scan of that era, that period. Exactly what was happening. Documentary. It's the documentary in song. Yeah?
Right,
take any decade and take the calypsos from that decade and listen to them. I do an analysis and you will see.
Right. Val, I want to bring you in here. Let me throw out something to you. Kitchener, many years ago, Kitchener had a song about was it about Jericho?
Jericho, yeah.
Let me talk about that. What was happening in Trinidad at the time?
It was the 70s, and we had the formation of the NUF, the National Union of Freedom Fighters, and they were, of course, in the bush, Guy Harewood and Jeffers and others like that. And I think Kitchener would have penned Jericho as that dealing with that issue in terms of the guerrilla warfare and the young men and so on that were some very well educated middle class boys who moved away from the norm and took a life in terms of guerrilla warfare against the state and so on. So Jericho was dealing with that. Yeah.
Right. And no, I mean, I just throw it in because, Georgia just mentioned something very instructive there. Take any period of history, and you can go and find a calypso that will or that has addressed those issues.
Yes. But many. Because
the thing about it is that while that is so, and that may be so up to certain periods, I don't know that if one take a picture of the last, let's say, almost 15 to 20 years, whether you can safely say that is the case. I think that there are other issues that have pushed Calypso.
There are reasons for that.
Away from people definitely just looking at their environment and singing, and comparing whether or not that would have value based on whether it would fly in terms of a competition and so on. So that you can't now without any doubt say that Calypso reflects the society as it used to be. I think we have to really weigh that and see whether that statement is still true.
Well, I mean, if you ask me,
I would.
Okay, go Georgia. Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. You the guest. No, you're the guest. I'm the host, so you go ahead. You doing the talking.
Okay. I would, yes, Val, to a certain extent. But there are still calypsos out there that are looking at social and political issues and talking about it. Now, remember the calypsonian used to be the mouthpiece of the people. It used to be the people's newspaper. But over time, we have this thing about competition and people wanting to stay within certain guidelines because the fearlessness of the Calypsonian has lost his tongue then, let me put it that way. Right? So that long time warlord, because Calypso came out of the Gael, is stick fighters, war, is battle. You understand? So there's no that now because of competition and political affiliation and all kinds of things, people are very careful with what they say. Because they may not the judges may not choose them and that kind of thing. So those things, Val, are interfering with people really doing critical analysis of what is happening and saying it as they say it. Be a job and call a spade a spade.
But let me.
I'm just saying that we have to reassess that statement that Calypso speaks about the social issues of the day. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Well, I think. What is probably happening, the number of Calypsonians who did that, it probably has lessened a bit, but I do believe that there are Calypsonians who still address these issues. I mean, there are Calypsonians who, for example, will not touch political issues for whatever reason, and fine. And there are Calypsonians, you could do what you want, this is where they're bad, and this is where they're going to pong and they're going to hit. And Exactly. And then you have calypsonians who can swing the thing left, right, and center. They can do, whatever. So I believe the world has changed as well. And there are a lot of things that are affecting people's lives, and seriously, other than, let's say, the political or party political issues, and so for example, Georgia's song "Standing in the Gap," this is a very serious issue, and so it is important to highlight issues like that. I don't think that says in any way that Georgia may not take a swipe at a politician.
Godfrey, I know you're the host, but I want to ask a question.
Sure.
That's a rhetorical question there.
Georgia, why standing in the gap? Why standing?
Why standing in the gap? We need to do it. It needs to be done.
The gap was vacant.
Yeah, it was. There was nobody. There was nobody holding the fort. There was nobody supporting, giving support. The support that is needed for our men, for those men who are suffering, there's none. And I mean, for the people who would want to argue with me that women being abused and thing, and why I sing, I have sung about that already. I have sung about that, and like I say, through my mother, I'm a victim of domestic violence. I lost my mother when I was 8 years old. So I know about that. I have seen family, relatives being abused. I know about it, But also as a woman, as a mother, when I look around, right, from my experiences, I see too many instances. And when you look at the statistics, it's alarming. It's alarming. But it's a silent issue because men not talking. You go to the police. You could go to a police station as a man, Val, and tell them that your wife abusing you. What's going to happen?
Exactly. So my point isn't it?
Your friends laughing at you. Your own friends laughing at you.
Isn't it, Georgia, a kind of further emasculation of men for, let's say, you as woman, as teacher, as mother, as grandmother, to stand up and speak on behalf of these men who can't even articulate a concern for themselves? Isn't that a kind of further emasculation of that male role?
Some may consider that, but I don't consider it as further emasculation. It is like me as mother. When I say this, as mother, as a woman, and as mother, standing up for my men folk. It's like I'm like a guardian, then. Pulling the
Luther, let's hear your
arm wide.
Yeah, Luther, come in here.
Men have been doing that on behalf of women for many years. Defending the woman's rights and so on. And it never came across as though when the man is doing it on behalf of the woman, he's making the woman actually weaker. So I don't see if a woman is doing it on behalf of the man, that is putting the man in a weaker position. I don't see that at all. I want to stray a little away from that. Last week, I was listening to a calypso by the Mighty Sparrow, something he did, I think in 1960 something, talking about when they were relocating people from the Labas.
Shantytown people.
Shantytown people to move on.
The song is that he have an apartment somewhere up Picton or somewhere up in Lavantel up there. And they move these people from down there and they come up there and they give them real hell. They tip him, the thing on the TP white Baja from off the line. And
Big Sunday morning.
Big Sunday morning. They cost fighting
the gambling, beating pan iron bowl, conflicts pelting.
Then in the 60s.
Yeah.
So that mentality of the people down there, you see, it's better than leave them in the Labas and let them stay in the, And
in the mansion on the Labas.
Yes. Stay down in the mansion in the Labas. Stay down there and leave me up there in peace. They take everything, they threaten to burn down the house. All that. Back in the 60s. Now that was violent.
Yeah, it was, of course it was.
and this was the people, who in the ghetto, and they decide to clear up the place and move them and make them like people, put them among people.
Although some refuse to move, huh?
I say, wow. And then, but in this, why so big Sunday? What about Sunday that makes Sunday big?
So they specialize for emphasis. Big Sunday.
Big,
you know.
What makes Sunday big? So Luther.
No. Hold on,
Lord, it's Sunday morning again. Sunday morning is church, is a peaceful time.
Sunday,
you expect this kind of bacchanal,
Because
big Sunday.
Right, so it is implied. So I'm talking about how you could use calypso for discussion even in the classroom.
Yes.
This is a big Sunday. You got Sunday morning again. What is implied?
What about you? What makes Sunday different from
any other
day?
So, right? So you get a discussion among a group dealing with children, right? Big Sunday.
And it has to do with your culture too, eh?
Right.
Yeah.
What that mean? It have a meaning.
Yeah.
It have a meaning in it there. Why you say big Sunday? And a whole discussion to come out of that. I would like to see the use of calypso.
Exactly.
Excuse me. Excuse me. What? Excuse me, I need some water.
Keep it Luther.
Yeah.
You
So get the water and come back. But this is very interesting. The point that Luther was making there about the use of the big Sunday, it is very interesting because it also shows something about how we use the Kaiso and the language of the Kaiso, because this to me is a kind of Caribbean thing, because we use that here in Grenada. And it shows
it is cultural.
Very much so. And I think this is something that needs a lot of attention. The language of calypso, and if people do not understand the language of calypso, they can actually miss the gist of what is being presented.
Recently, Professor Liverpool, that's Chucky, held there was a workshop conference at Napa, and that is one of the points that he made. If you're writing calypso, you must have some dialect in it. You must have the language that the people understand. Like for instance, I'm singing I hear what up slap. You're using the sound of that makes in the song as well. But a Trinidadian, somebody from the Caribbean will understand that.
That's right.
Because when they hear a slap, pots and pans singing, you could understand, you could identify with that.
No, very, 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 very important. Luther, you could just continue, because I want to come to Val. So just finish the point you were making, and then I'll bring in Val here.
Yeah, I'm talking about the use of calypso in schools. I would like, not that you're asking the children to sing calypso, but you're taking the calypsos and you're bringing it to the class for discussion.
Right.
So many issues can be discussed out of the calypso. Not learning to sing a calypso or learning to make a calypso, but using the calypso in the schools.
Some of us do it, Luther.
Appreciation, because people wouldn't realize then that all this work is going on in the calypso. You just take a song and a dance and the end, and that's it.
Well,
there's a lot more.
Some of us do it. I use it in sociology. So some of us do.
Yeah.
Luther, remember that song that this girl sang, Class Language?
Yes.
Yes.
Remember that song?
That was by.
That's a classic. It's one of my favorites.
Yes. I'm seeing her face now. The name just slipped me.
I remember the song. I remember it.
Kizzy Reese.
Kizzy Reese, yes.
Kizzy Reese. Yeah, wonderful song.
Yeah, what they call the rich and call the poor.
Yes. Yeah.
And
One for the rich and one for the poor.
yes, indeed. A very good use of language. Val, the issue of what Luther is, the point Luther is making, using the calypso in school to sort of, and I think it speaks to improving the communication at the cultural level.
Well, clearly, I mean, some teachers have done it. Some feel that they are not competent enough to use it. But it speaks to our cultural confidence in order to use it, because teachers, some just feel that they're out of their depths. They cannot use it enough or well enough to discuss certain topics. But you have a lot of calypsos that you can pull. Luther says that men has always been singing on behalf of women, and when there are issues, I remember, and immediately what came to mind was Crusoe's clause 4, which dealt with that issue that has been out there with men and women, and what clause 4 will do to men, and so on. Now that women have the rights or spousal rights to refuse, so that those things are out there, right? So this the topic that Georgia has chosen. And standing in the gap, standing up for men, that men are under attack. I think that while we look in terms of, as you hear violence, you think about physical violence, but I think that the issue is not so much as physical violence, or the fact that that space that men used to occupy is no longer the same. There has been a shifting of the ground, and certainly women have moved upwards socially and economically, so that there is a bit of a number of men or guys feeling threatened in terms of their position, and in that sense, some are hitting out, and women could only use what they have, which now is probably their mouth and their economic power, and that is only probably God, right, could buff and so on harder and louder than women, right?
I wonder if Miranda is not around.
My aunt died at age 102 in London 2 years ago, and she, with 102 years old, so that's an old lady, and she was a massive abuser. She used to beat the man. Cool yourself. She was in control of everything about the man.
And I have actually seen men getting licks, eh?
Yes, I'm telling you. And he taking licks and cool himself and remain with her until death. Never left.
Better off for worse.
Probably he was so scared he couldn't leave. But you think about it and say, boy, I live in this woman, so-called boy. If I leave this woman,
men are yes.
Right. No, but this is very interesting, and I mean, just this discussion alone, and Luther made the point about taking the calypso to the school and discussing it, and this is what we actually doing. We've started talk about Georgia's calypso, and we've gone in detail on that social issue, discussing it. And so what Luther is saying clearly can be done. And I think it is important and should be done. I think, a lot of the work can be selected, probably even invite the artists to provide. And Val, in a case where, and you mentioned that maybe some teachers feel that they don't have the depth to go into it, you can bring in the artist, to provide that additional support and discuss it and create the conversation. And I think this is going to do well. But let's go to I want us to go to Luther's Kaiso for this year, because you wouldn't believe how time goes by very fast.
I know it is.
Time goes by very, very fast. So Luther, Comrade Roger, now you have to go in detail and explain this to me.
All right. Comrade Roger, Roger in this case is the president of Market, I think, and he is President General of OWTU. And out of the OWTU came the MSJ, led by David Abdullah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, David Abdullah, the MSJ is a political party, movement for social justice. And in 2 elections ago, he, Roger, the MSJ, went into the partnership with Kamla Prasad, Bissessa, and the UNC, and so on, right? And other parties joined together about the partnership. Probably about 1 year into governance, that period, a year and a half into that, David Abdullah and Roger and so on found that discomfort within the partnership, and they decided to withdraw from the partnership. David Abdullah and Mr. Roger both agreed that they should withdraw, and they withdraw from the partnership because of corruption and deviation from the plan and all these different things. So David continued to fight independently on the outside for the party, trying to improve the party, trying to went to the local government election. And I believe that coming out of the labor movement, this party, even if the membership of the union, the general membership don't support the party, even if that is the case, as leaders, I feel that there was supposed to be some kind of support for Abdullah, because this is you, this is yours, this is coming out of you. Lo and behold, Mr. Roger jumped and decided to endorse Miss Bissessa, who is the leader of the UN. But in the election, although David is there fighting, so I said, well, how could you endorse the enemy when a man from your own bowel, your brother, you leave him out? And I find that was odd. And nobody said anything about that. And it bothered me enough to send this guy. So, Roger, with that one, So this is what it's all about. How could you forsake your own brother to go and support the enemy of your brother? How you feel doing that? I think this is a question that needs to be asked.
Great. So Luther, here what? I want to bring in Val now. So Val, here we are in a situation. We're in a situation where we have two Calypsonians, two different people, a male and a female, addressing two issues that are, I mean,
Yeah.
Georgia is addressing a serious social issue. Luther is addressing an issue that he feels, but wait. As he say, where is that one? Let's talk about that. Let's put them side by side and discuss these two Kaisos in terms of the issues. Georgia, coming to you, Val.
Well, I think that what we know about Calypso, and you can see it any given year, is that the Calypsonian can pick up any topic, any level of topic that is open to them, and bring it forward. So that you know, in the I want to just go back before I come forward. In the height of the 70s, when you not so much when you mention, I mean, Kitchener and Jericho, but in the height of the 70s, when Valentino was penning, you know, the most probably significant songs of the 70s, you hear someone like a Fluke say with their right hand in the air like a tower, and every man shouting power, power, power. So that the Calypsonian, from wherever his gaze is, you know, whether it's low or high, he can comment, you know, and he has an opinion, he has a right to comment. So here you have two individuals, two Calypsonians, Luther on the right and Georgia on the left, commenting on two social issues. You know, the fact that she is witnessing or has witnessed men being abused. She is seeing that her sisters, who are now better educated and wealthy and so on, are flexing their muscles, you know, and making men feel uncomfortable. And of course, she is a mother with sons and so on. So she's also making those comments. I don't know. Well, I don't want to go into her business.
Val, let me just jump in here and use. I want to jump in here and use Luther's words. Was she supporting the enemy? Because
no, well, the fact that you can see it like that. One, I think what he's saying is that Trinidad has a particular history.
Right.
So in '76 with the ULF and that merger of labor coming to the fore and showing up itself, winning, I think back then about 13 seats or so just after. You know, so that Labour, George Weeks and others were part of that movement coming out of the 70s, when you had, you know, Joe Young and Clive and Clive Nunes and others, right? Roger and David are inheritors of that past. And he's saying, well, you know, you should probably line up behind your brother trade unionist, and not go to the other side. So whether you see her as an enemy or not, he's basically saying that, look, you know, Labour has a particular kind of history, you know, from being down in the trenches and fighting for workers, and you should.
Yeah, but Val, no. I hear you. But let's okay. So Labour has a certain kind of history, but men have a history too of abusing women. She's supporting the enemy.
Yes. And as I said in my preamble, I know there are people who will disagree with me. There are people who would say that in the main, women are being abused, they're being violated. Yes, that is so. Yes, that is so. Yes, I experience it.
Right.
You know? Yes, it is so. But we have to balance the scale. We have to balance the scale. We have to look on the other side of the coin. You can't say, okay, so because that is happening to this one, okay, it's all right for it to happen to the other. No, we have to address it. So, and as mothers, as women, we have to address it. And we have to tell it how to start from those little boys that we have. We have to start to socialize our children differently. Even our girl, listen to the last verse in my song now. Listen to the last verse in my song.
All right. Yeah, when I get here.
Listen to the last.
So Luther.
Primary social agent is the home. Abuse of any sort we must not condone. Parents, train your sons and daughters well. So those life values they will not dispel.
So,
you understand?
So Luther, according to Georgia, we have to balance the thing. So nothing wrong in endorsing UNC. You have to balance the thing.
No. I want to disagree there. Because I am saying
Georgia,
Luther's song. Yes, I am saying when you look at Luther's song, he's talking about integrity here. It's a brotherhood. It's a brotherhood.
No,
so where's the integrity? Where's the integrity?
That's just one point. The thing is that it's not that the labor must remain in labor and so on. Not that. You've been there before.
Right,
you had an
right.
Experience.
Yes, you had an experience.
Going back. Going back.
Maybe he likes abuse. Maybe he likes abuse. Because if you're being abused and you're going back.
Yeah.
Maybe he likes abuse.
Right. Yeah.
We have to question it. Questioning it, you know. What we're talking.
No, this is and this is the role of the Calypsonian.
Not only that.
Yeah.
And it's not me, not I questioning and asking anything. It's Butler. It's Butler who make an appearance and observe that happening and asking him, Rosie, that you?
Yeah, we're going on. Yes. Butler sitting in his grave.
Yeah.
But Luther, I want to try, kind of jump the refrain. Roger, comrade Roger, you know?
Yeah.
Hurry up. But why go there? Why choose that? Why choose that?
Because Roger is already there. So it's not a new Roger, it's the same Roger I talking about. Yeah? The Roger Sparrow was talking about down there. I assume it's the same Roger.
But I thought it would be a man. I thought it would be a man. Yes.
But what you say is he?
So no, this is very so.
Yeah, I was thinking about you, right? That is what I have to use.
Right. So let's move because I want to get to something on a more serious note. Georgia, your tent. How are things going with your tent? I mean, just as a matter of information.
So I'm with Kaiso Caravan. We have about 27 artists on the cast. Very good cast. I think we are the best cast, you know. Really, up to now. For those among those that have opened, I think we have the best cast. So we are roving because we are the caravan.
Right.
So we have home base, which is at La Jolla. We are at Sports Bar. We're doing our judging on the 9th of, which is this Sunday, the 9th of February. And we have a show in Valencia. We have one at Radisson where we are clashing with Kaiso Dynasty. That's a new Calypso tent. Used to be Kaiso House, yeah? So we're moving around. And on that note, on Sunday, I will also be participating in the National Calypso Queen Finals.
Wow, lovely. Okay.
Yes. So I have that and 10 judging on Sunday. But we're going very good. We're good.
That's lovely. Luther, your tent.
Huh?
Are you in the tent or are you in one of the tents this year?
No, I'm tired with the tent.
Okay.
I afford to give it up now.
Okay.
Yes, it does. And
you know, this year has been good for me because it was so nice, boy, so much nice juicy topics. I did something on the Donald Trump and Hamilton. So about our local athletes who went to the Olympics and returned, and the newspaper had them medalists. And, you know, that's the greeting they got when they came back home, and that hit me hard. So I did a song about that, a young man doing that song. The point I'm making in the song is that these people, the effort that they made, they went out there and did their best. Jerry Richards, personal best. You know, running in a difficult lane. I'm a personal best. You want better than that, boy? Walcott, had he improved the gold medal in London, he did 1.8 something meters more than he did in London when he won gold. And you call him medalist because he didn't win. You can see an improvement in the performance.
Because we're not awarding effort.
Right.
regarding effort.
You know,
If you didn't play it first, well, nobody looks at you.
That song, and I can't do all the song. I can't sing all them things. So I had to get people. So I have another guy doing that, and so on. And you know, this year was nice. You know, I had quite a few, and I heard some other calypsos this year. Very nice. I heard something about the bow. Hyderabad wanted to be a bow. Nice piece of
That's London. That's London singing. That one of the London boys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Valor London doing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice song, well written. And then we have the what's his name? Rankin. Squeezy Rankin.
Oh.
With
That's his son, Mama's
Justice. Yeah.
good, yeah, Mama's good son, they gone down. There's a lot of nice pieces out there. A lot of nice pieces. And young people. I'm really glad for Squeezy. I'm really glad.
So how do you and anybody, I mean, all three of you, what do we anticipate for the Calypso, how you call it, the semi-final Fiesta? Yeah, how do we anticipate this is going to go? Because I mean, I've listened to some of them and they're really good.
Yeah, but don't be surprised if some of the good ones that you heard don't make it to the semi-final.
Exactly. Exactly.
Don't be surprised at all.
Right. So and that takes me to the next issue I want us to discuss. And Luther just played it nice there for me. Some of the good ones don't make it. What is a good Kaiso? So Georgia, starting with you, coming to Val last. What is a good Kaiso, Georgia?
Can I go back to Luther? Help me. Who was the name of the artist? Number one, the topic. Your topic must be relevant.
Yeah, number one.
Yeah. Number two, your lyrics.
Yes, fearless.
Your presentation, your rendition. Yeah. So it has to be relevant. Like, for instance, I spoke to Bomber about 4 months before he died, Mighty Bomber, and he said a lot of Calypsonians. So you do a song and you think that the song is good, but you start to sing about the tree, and somewhere along you lose focus and you start to sing about something else, about the gate or the motor car or the whatever. Yeah, it has to be relevant. You have to stay on topic. Yeah, but it has. You must see a development of the song.
Coherent,
yeah, there has to be a coherent development of the song from the start to the finish. So it's like an essay. You start, you have your introduction, you have your body, you have your conclusion. Yeah.
Luther?
And at the same time, it must entertain and it must inform. And it must be, performance must be convincing. You have to convince that this is coming, that you have bought. Even if you didn't write the song, you must buy into the song so that when you sing it, you put it over with conviction.
It's like presenting a case, you know.
Yes.
Calypso is like presenting a case. You take a position and you're presenting this position.
And you're defending it.
And you have all the evidence, all the supporting evidence to support the position that you take. And the extent to which that is done makes the Calypso good or not good. So I can't tell you that the melody has to be X or Y. But pleasant sounding melody.
Pleasant sound.
Yeah. But
singing in key?
Me may not be pleasant to somebody else.
Right.
What I find to be a nice melody might turn off somebody else. Relator, for instance. I tell people I find relators have some fantastic melodies. And people say, relator, and voice. You know, people have different opinions about what they hear. And the judges are people. And they hear things that a lot of other people don't know.
Subjectivity always comes into the
Some of the results, when I see the results that they come up with, at times I am convinced that the judges have special edge.
like other people, right?
They hear different. Because I just can't understand it. I can't come to some of the results. When I was like, what was I here, boy? They're hearing different to us. You know? And that is what the Calypso, it is always subjective. although they have all kind of guidelines and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And
But you
I
wonder,
think the
you
problem
often...
with it is that there is no real accountability. Nobody don't question the judges afterwards. You say, well, how come, what is the position? How you end up with this person or this item being, let's say, left out, and this one in? What is it? What about this is so much better than this? But let me discuss it. You don't get them kind of discussion.
And Godfrey, when you look at
healthy discussions to have.
But I agree. I think because it would help everyone. It would help the Calypsonian, it would help the judges, it would help everybody.
But Godfrey, when you look at the scores that you get back, the comments that you get from judges, you wonder. Imagine, I do 2 songs, and for each song, a particular judge, this is in Grenada, a particular judge marked me 12 out of 30 for lyrics. And the comment was the use of the stage needs to be developed for both songs.
For lyrics.
So the use of the stage for lyrics.
The use of the stage needs to be developed. And everybody else above. And I'm saying, but like this person was deliberately putting this thing to make sure. You wonder. When you see the comments, you wonder.
I have no problem with the judges and what they do. But I would like very much at the end of the exercise to have a conversation with them. So they can tell me. So next time I'll be better off. I know what to do. But you don't get that.
You know, there was a time when as soon as they hand in the results, the judges used to get out of the savannah one time, right? You know that?
Yeah.
Why?
Well, I tell you, you know. Apart from, so for example in Grenada many years ago, apart from the March Gras night, like semi-final and so, after the semi-final, the results would be announced a couple of days after. So they would be sent to the radio station, and then they would read out the list of the finalists. I mean, it changed after, but I
think there needs to be more transparency. There needs to be more transparency because I could talk about 2 situations here. In Trinidad, after 24 hours after competition, I could go to Tuco office and I could get a copy. I could find out where I place in the competition. I could get a copy of my scores. And if I want to see a master sheet, I could pay for that. In Grenada, I can't find out where I place in a competition. I went into the semi-finals without even seeing my scores from the preliminary. That is madness. That's crazy. There are too many things that we need to look at. We need to fix.
Val, I want to bring you in. I want to bring you in here, Val.
And the discussions need to be held.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
Val, let's talk about the question. A good calypso.
I think a good calypso, and let's deal with the empirical evidence. A good calypso stays with you. You remember it because there is melody, there is lyric. There are other elements that is about music that stays with you, so that when we started the program, Luther spoke about sparrows, shantytown people. Now that is clearly not one of Sparrow's big items. It has never been. But for someone like me, it has always been one of my favorite Sparrow songs. I say that, before I even read Lovelace's Dragon Can Dance, I had already discovered that part of Laventille, Calvary Hill, and so on, through Sparrow's shantytown people, So it is not really the big topics of federation and neurosis of the rich and Dan is the man, but sometimes little issues. That ability to see the ground in shantytown people and others, that you can appreciate a good calypso. So that I think we have become too locked in the competition and what the competition say and who they reward, and that has been to the detriment of calypso in terms of the appreciation of calypso. So that we have to take ourselves out of that. You have a lot of young ones coming into Calypso who only see songs for the competition, but there is no appreciation for music and melody and beautiful writing and so on. So that Calypso has to be out there with other music of the world and compete with them on that basis of melody and lyric and blend and so on, and not about some kind of.
And then every year you have to compose a new calypso, a brand new calypso too.
Yeah. But when you have to go out into the world and stand up as a good music, right? We talk about it going overseas and getting Grammys and so on. But if we can't even appreciate a good song, and we feel that it is some kind of lyric that trying to say something. We have had some awful Calypso winners in the last decade or more. 2 days after the final, you can't even remember a line. That's awful, right? And that has to change. And let's call a spade a spade. I mean, if you have the gumption enough to sing about whatever issues are there, then we should supposed to have the gumption enough to say that it is not working. It is to the detriment of the art form. Not that the art form is going to go out of existence. It will always be there. But the competition, and based on what they have selected as winners in the last decade and a half, cannot stand scrutiny with some of the other songs that were out there before.
So let me ask: Are we saying here that it might be a good thing to get rid of the competition?
I think that what we have to do, Godfrey, is to understand how and when competition came into being and why. Until we do that, then we cannot change it or do any modification of it, right? So clearly the competition is there as the biggest purse in Calypso, and I understand that. And for people who are making their way from the bottom and trying to earn something and trying to raise their status and so on, that money becomes handy. But I think we are limiting ourselves to think that it is the only money that is available to us. And we are not doing what is necessary to put our work out there that it competes with other music of the world and earn the kind of earnings that it is capable of doing.
But Val, I'm thinking here. I mean, is it a problem of the Calypsonian, or is it a problem of the organizations who are responsible? Because I'm thinking here, there is nothing wrong with the Calypso being rewarded for his work. But if you have situations where the rewards that are given, yes, it may benefit an individual or two, but does not benefit the art form. Because I think, to me, this is what is important here. Because if the art form benefits, then it's going to grow, and if the art form grows, it will draw interest, and it will continue to grow. So I'm wondering here if maybe part of the purse, in terms of the individuals, should be spread throughout the art form so that it helps develop the art form. I'm just thinking here, because personally I don't think anything is wrong with competition. I think the people who are organizing the competition, that's where the problem lies, not the Calypsonians.
But the thing about it is that art and culture is really an agency of people, and an agency of people who should be just doing what they want to do, rather than, let's say, the state being the drivers of this agency, and saying exactly where to go and what needs to happen. So that I think that for the greater populace who are participants in this art form, they need to understand where they are located within it, meaning that it comes from the ground, it have all its Afrocentric things about it, so that your forebears are the ones who have created this form. So that's your inheritance. And because it's your inheritance, then no state have a right to say exactly where it should go, but people should determine where it goes. So I just want to say that there is quite a difference between development and regulation. That competitions came into being because it was there to regulate how the cultural forms develop. And they are still there doing the same role, regulating what you say and how you say it. And I would reward those things that say it the way I want it to be said. So let's be clear. When people talk about competition is good and it's all right, competitions came into being, because the JCs in Trinidad and Tobago, the JCs and the Guardian Media Group and so on came together to hold competitions to determine what the Calypsonians can sing or cannot sing. That's why you had to give in your lyric and so on to them for this, so they to see it, to vet it, whatever. And those rules still apply in Calypso competitions today.
Even today.
So should we take it back?
We should have done that a long time ago.
Yeah, Luther?
The people should have done that a long time ago. Yes. Because you see, you must understand your inheritance.
Right.
This is what you're for. If anything throughout, and I'm talking about throughout the Caribbean, if anything your forebears have left for you are these cultural heritage forms. They are yours. We didn't get land like other people and other things. Yeah. These are all you have. And it is for you to decide where we're going to take it. And you have given up that power to others to determine where it should go and what to do with it, because you are now blinkered into only seeing a competition every year. So you don't even create freely in terms of, this is what I see and I want to express. You are simply creating because you feel at the end of the day it will give you $1 million or $750. And there is, the universe is vast. There is so much opportunities to exploit your work once it's good.
Luther, yeah.
That kind of thinking is really hurting us, because when I started in Calypso, it was like you're getting into the Calypso to make an impression in the tent. You want the people to appreciate what you do. You want to make sense. And it's all about the people, the audience, the people who come in to see us and hear. The whole aim was about that. It used to be about what you call a tent song. Now you want that tent, Kaiso. You want to go in for the tent, and the tent is the people. The whole thing was about the people. But that has shifted. You don't care anything about the people now. Your only concern now is about the competition. And it's a particular type of song you want to do for the competition, because those are the ones that are successful. So if people are looking for a song to go in the competition, they want to go skate a park. And that is killing the Kaiso. If it's just a matter of expressing what you feel, doing a song and coming out there just for the song's sake, but the competition, that wanted to win the competition, you can't say that, because if they say that, they will pick you, and that kind of thing. That is hindering the movement of the cat. But a lot of people think that way and dies it. I believe if we are serious, we would get away from this competition thing. well, there will always be competition because we're competing for something else, right? So we're competing, as Val so rightly said, on the world stage. You get it out there, not by no judge sitting down and like or dislike. You're competing in the world. So in our case, because of the culture, because of what we're accustomed to, because of, I believe we should tailor this competition and let it be in such a way that we're not looking at a winner, but we're looking at the top 10, 15, 20 is competing to get there, to the top 20, and we present the top 20 to the world. They have 20 winners instead of one. I believe if we take that model and we become transparent, more to come to the judging, how we are judging it, and so on and so on. At the end of the day, we come and we discuss with the judge. And if we do that 5-10 years, at the end of that period, everything would be nice and clean and so on and so forth. When you have to hide, and you have to duck here, and you have a favorite, nothing is going anyway.
But Luther, is anybody listening?
Georgia.
Luther, is anybody listening? I mean, very good points from Val and from Luther.
I have presented that to the people who have the power and authority to
But
do
nothing is being done about it. And even my peeve is that even among us Calypsonians, people are not really, they don't seem to be really interested in the welfare as a Calypsonian. No. If you call a meeting, if you call a meeting among Calypsonians, you cannot get a quorum to have a meeting.
Yeah.
You understand? The only time they are interested is around the time when you have auditions, or if Tuco probably say they distribute some monies or something, and there's money to get, everybody comes out.
Well, I'll tell you something. I'll tell you something. You know, I'll tell you something, Georgia. This may be so, and the question is probably very pertinent, but I think platforms like this, when you have everybody speaking the same language, I think the message is going to get out, because the intention is to get all the Calypsonians to talk it. That's why we call it KaisoTalk. We're going to talk the talk, and I think it's going to get where it is supposed to go. I do believe that. But we kind of getting close to wrap up. Georgia, there's one question I want to ask you. Being the single female in here. You've been in Calypso 14 years, and doing great work. As a woman, Calypso Rose came in and won the first title in was 78, thereabout? 78, I think it was? 78. Yeah, right. And thereafter, we saw the emergence of women in Calypso, How does it feel being a woman in probably what was once considered a man thing?
A male-dominated field.
Yeah.
I don't know if it may be because I would have come onto the stage much later than the others. Like, for instance, singing Sandra and I, we were the same age, right? When she passed away. But she had been in it longer than I had been. Yeah? But my coming into it, I have not had any problems. Getting into the tent, coming into sing, I've had no negative feedback or behavior from any men in the tent to say, well, okay, that they because I'm female, I am being prevented from singing. I feel that the playing field is level as far as the tent is concerned. You go to your auditions, if you're good enough or you fit on the program, they select you. Yeah, I had 3 years where I wasn't in a Calypso tent. I went to what we call here the bullpen, the unattached thing, and I went to Skinner Park 14, 15, and 16, So I do not feel any pressure as a woman singing Calypso here.
Okay, wonderful. Yeah. And
I guess the women who went before paved the way for that to happen to me, for me to experience this now, and other women who are in the field.
Right. Also, as a senior, the some of the younger women who are coming up, like the Karina Ashe and some of the younger ones.
Yeah.
What's your take? Do you see the women in Calypso? Do you see that continuing to increase and more women coming in?
Yes, I'm seeing that every year. You're seeing more women in Calypso. Every year you see more women in Calypso. Yeah, I see that continue. And when you look at the youth arm of the art form, it is very encouraging as well. Very, very encouraging. That thought about Calypso dying ain't dying at all.
Right, but no. So this is great. But the only little problem here now, we have a task to shift the focus from that purse to the world stage.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. In addition to that, I have always been a big fan of youth. So, like for instance, when I teach dance, I prefer, if I have money to spend on dancers, I prefer to take that money and spend on young dancers and let the thing grow. So you're building a foundation. Yeah. And in Calypso, I think the same thing should happen. We should be investing more in the youth.
Right.
In Calypso.
Right.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
That is where it's training. The older Calypsonians could help train the younger ones, etc. We could set up programs, teach Calypso in schools, and as Luther say, we're talking about the dying crowd, the dying audience in tents, in Calypso tents. But that is because we're not introducing it to our young people. Too many of our young people don't know anything about Calypso, or they tell them, Miss, I don't like Calypso. Yeah, but have they ever heard of Calypso?
Right.
You know? So we have to educate.
There's work to be done.
There's work to be done.
Right.
For those of us who are willing to work.
Right. I mean, guys, look, I could go on talking whole night about Kaiso, but as they say, all good things must come to an end. We're basically out of time. So let me give each of you a minute, just to make whatever closing remarks. So, Georgia, we're going to start back with you. You're on the floor already.
Okay, so this is the messenger here. I am really, really happy to be on this program. I thoroughly enjoyed myself with these three gentlemen, yes. And as we go along, we continue to hope that the Calypso will continue to do what it was intended to do, and that Calypsonians will stand up for the people, continue to being the voice of the voiceless.
Wonderful.
Yes? That is what we ought to be.
Right. Luther, your closing?
I would like to sort of piggyback on the point by Georgia, the youth, making an investment in the youth. The audience is dwindling because we didn't make that investment in the youth back then. And I think if we make that investment now, down the road, we'll have an audience in there. The investment being, at one time, the gypsies and the reels and used to be in the schools, used to go and do school shows.
I think we lost Luther there. Yeah, he froze. He froze there for a moment. So Val, your final.
My wrap on it, while I could endorse what both Luther and Georgia said in terms of youth, I think my focus would really be on the seniors. I think that we have a society that disrespects senior artists and put them out to pasture too early, so that we have lost so much vital information because I think composer wasn't taken, made good use of, and superior and others, and even related and so on at a particular time. So that while you want to give youth information, you have to really take care of your seniors. And when the performing period have finished, then you need to find other ways to make use of them. And we have proven as societies that we are not very good at that. So that I would want to see more of that happening, so that while Luther says that he's staying out of the tent environment this year, I would hope that there are, greater opportunities for him to still continue to exploit his work and to reach the kind of young audience and to have discussions with them and so on. So whether it is from Tuco's point of view or others, that those forums, those fora have to be created so that we make greater use of our resources that reside in the seniors.
All right. Yes, yeah.
Well, look, we have to keep documenting. We have to keep documenting the lives of those older Calypsonians.
Oh, definitely. And talking about documenting, this program is recorded, so it's going to be in the archives. So these conversations can be repeated, because I think this is important. This conversation will be repeated. But I thank you also very much, and we will continue. So spread the word. We will be having both local and regional Calypsonians on the program to talk the talk. The KaisoTalk. So, Georgia, thank you once again, and I wish you all the best in your competition on Sunday and also at Skinner Park. All the best.
Thank you very much.
All the best. I'm looking forward. I'm looking forward. And the good thing is I'm seeing a lot of it. It's streamed on YouTube, and so I'm able to follow some of the work and everything like that. So this is very good. So thank you very much, Georgia, and I'm looking forward to chatting with you soon again. Luther, thank you so very much. It's always a pleasure. And of course, Val, thank you so much, and we will be in touch so that we can organize the crew for next Wednesday evening. Yes, all the best, gentlemen, and thank you very much.
All the best.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Yes.
Thanks for having us. Take care. Have a good night.
Yes.
Good night.